Good afternoon. As Joe mentioned, my presentation will have four major portions: what we've accomplished, what is underway, and what are some future considerations, as well as some emerging technologies that we are looking into. I want to bring your attention a little bit to the bubble that's on the top left corner of every slide. That is the area of CDCR that gets impacted by the technology that that slide talks about. So we divided it into those areas. As Joe mentioned, CDCR has spent over $800 million to complete IT projects, or they are underway. Some of the ones that have been completed are on this slide. Most of you have heard of Sept, Consolidated Information Technology Infrastructure Project, where we created the highway that was needed in order to run the applications that I'm going to be talking about, the enterprise applications that are going to run on that highway. We upgraded the wide area network, the local area network. We put the necessary controls in place, and we added 25,000 data drops and upgraded the fiber at all the institutions. Besides that, we took aggressive measures to comply with AB 2408 from an energy saving perspective, server consolidation, application consolidation, and we moved our email migration to a tier 3 data center. It wasn't a small undertaking. Moving 38,000 email accounts is a huge undertaking, and it's been done successfully. And I need to mention that that was our first venture into a private cloud. In the area of IT security, I'm going to go a little fast because my time is limited and we want to put all the information in here. So I don't know where Armani is. You need to stay up, Armani. We put security policy and process controls in place and technical controls in place. I won't spend a whole lot of time because Joe talked about these, but I'll mention that these are the typical things that any department should be doing. And data loss prevention system included USB device control also. Today at CDCR, you can't walk in with a USB that is not a CDCR issued USB. So we have a lot of controls in place. All the IT hardware has been through the established configuration standards, and we do peer reviews of the different institutions. In the area of business administration, again, I want to bring your attention to the bubble. We have the Business Information System, or BIZ project. Paul Smith, who's sitting next to Joe, will provide much more detail, but I just want to mention that this is a successful ERP implementation in the state. And we've implemented environmental health and safety for tuberculosis test screening and tracking for CDCR employees. SharePoint deployment is also another area that we have been very aggressive with. CDCR is most likely the one, if not one of the largest departments that has deployed SharePoint 2010 for measuring performance, for tracking reports at the executive level, at institutions, and within our different offices. Data sharing. Joe mentioned that we have data sharing agreement in place with all 58 counties. We use secure file transfer to share data with them through OTEC. And we collaborate with Department of Justice on a system that will consume our offender data. In the area of victim services and restitution, we have two efforts, TRACS and VINE. Our TRACS effort is related to inmate banking, restitution collection, and canteen services. And our Vine effort is really a notification of the victims. The victims need to know if an offender has been released, has escaped, has died. They can get online and get notification automatically. We recently enhanced the search and bilingual capabilities of this system. It's already provided in Spanish also, and it's connected with nearly all the California counties. Sorry. In the area of citizen services, we used to get a lot of calls in order to locate an inmate. Where is that inmate located? Which institution, which prison is that inmate in? We have put an online system up that people can go to and enter the name, and out comes the location of that inmate. This effort won a Best of California a couple years ago. Discovery and production of electronically stored information, or e-discovery, was our next venture into cloud computing. We get a lot of our work, as Joe mentioned, is litigation based. So we get a lot of requests for information. In order to be able to electronically and efficiently prepare and provide that information to you, we have this e-discovery that electronically stored evidence can be provided to those who request it. Visitor Processing Appointment Scheduling System, or Vpas, is really near and dear to our heart because it, first of all, won a Best of California award recently. And secondly, it was developed all by in-house IT staff. My hat's off to them and all those IT employees in state government. They can do great things. This effort, before this system was put in place, if a family member of an inmate wanted to go visit the inmate, they would have to wait behind lines, sometimes overnight, in order to put their names on the list and get in to see that inmate. Now, just like how you reserve an airline ticket, or you make an appointment with DMV, you can make an appointment to go see an inmate, to visit an inmate. This reduced a lot of staff time and created efficiencies for the department. Offender incarceration. There are very few people in IT community or in public safety who haven't heard of SOMS. SOMS is our electronic records management and electronic offender management system. It also won recently an award in Best of California, and we have replaced all of the paper files in the 3 women institutions and 45% of the men. Russ Nichols, to my left, is going to talk in detail about SOMS, so I'll just let him do that and spend more time on inmate ward telephone system, which is the inmate and family communication system that we have put in place so affordably they can call their families and friends. Continuing on offender incarceration, we provide food nutrition information to correctional officers and custody staff through a food nutrition management system that's now available at the newest, as of today, prison that is in place at California Healthcare Facility in Stockton. Inmate welfare check system is also another effort that we have recently implemented through the executive sponsorship that we received from executives at CDCR, as well as with collaboration with our division of adult institutions. This effort was about checking the welfare of an inmate. Prior to this system going in place, a custody staff would have to go and write down by hand what time, by which correctional officer, was that welfare check done? That is disputable. When it's recorded digitally, it is less disputable, and it automates things and makes it more efficient. Today, correctional officers go next to a cell with a wand or a pipe this big and hold it next to a sensor. It records the time, it records the date, and it records which correctional officer did that. So this is a great example of how IT is used to meet the business needs of the organization and make government better. Last slide on current IT accomplishments. In the area of parole, we've done a lot of projects, but these are some of them: Compass, Listus, Ristus, and Pivots. Compass is the assessments that Joe talked about, that assesses the risk and needs of adult offenders from reception to parole. And it's not just by the parole Division of Adult Parole Operations that this system is being used. DAI, our Division of Adult Institution, as well as our Division of Rehabilitative Program, also use the reports out of this. The next to LIFER and revocation scheduling are scheduling and tracking system that are in place. And the PVDTS is the same, except it's in support of AB 109, and it reproduces those reports to the counties, to the parole offices in the counties. And so far we have 63,000 active cases since July of 2013. So now moving into efforts that are underway. I'm sure many in the audience are interested in that. Video conferencing. This is an effort that we expect great efficiencies when it's implemented statewide, because we are going to put endpoints at every institution. Imagine when a parole hearing doesn't have to happen by actually putting an inmate and taking them to a location. Managed print services statewide. We have piloted this effort at EIS and realized great efficiencies. And we believe that when it's implemented statewide, we also are going to realize those efficiencies in a multitude using the WSCO contract, of course. Service management. CDCR is currently using a premise-based service management tool, and we are in process of migrating that to Remedy on Demand, which is the tool we're going to use. And we will realize efficiencies by doing so, because those hardware are not going to be a responsibility of CDCR to maintain. Again, this is another venture into cloud computing that CDCR has taken advantage of. Next slide is business administration. In the efforts that we have underway, time and shift, Paul Smith will talk in more detail about that and how we are using that. Besides the data sharing that I mentioned earlier, one of the efforts that we have underway is with the local law enforcement entities. They have a web-enabled, web-based application that can collaborate with the state, and we are going to incorporate our leads data into that coupling web-based application. We are currently working on agreeing on the agreement. Next is citizen services, mobile applications. We want to make sure that we go and offer these services and have the public be able to have access to our services through mobile devices as well. So we will be expanding those applications, not just through mobiles, but also through kiosks. Adult Parole is the one that's currently taking advantage of that because of the Division of Rehabilitative Programs and paroles are going to have kiosks in parole offices. So when parolee goes and asks for information, they don't necessarily have to have someone behind the counter. If there is a frequently needed information that we know they're going to need, such as, where's the closest DMV? Where can I get a social security number? Or information similar to that, that kiosk can, through geospatial information and the interfaces that we have with GIS, provide that information to the parolee. Those are just scratching the surface. There will be many other opportunities where kiosks could be used. Adult institutions. The efforts that we have underway that will impact them are the Pbx upgrade, our telephone upgrade, the scanners that we have to interdict drug and contraband, and of course our managed access system. I want to say a few words about Pbx upgrade. This is the effort that will upgrade our core system so it is capable of running applications that take advantage of emerging technologies. So it will get us to a point that we are VoIP ready. The solicitation document for this effort is being worked on. We really wanted to put a date on the slide, but soon is the best we can come up with. But we are working on it, and it'll be out in the next 2 to 4 weeks. The scanners are out there, and we are piloting this, and I won't spend too much time on that. Managed access system is the control of contraband cell phones. You've all heard about that. And this effort is currently in various stages at different institutions, and it has proved to be effective. Offender incarcerations, there is a project or effort called POMI, Positive Offender Mobile Identification. This is a good example of where we are using mobile and portable devices. If during a critical situation or just normal situation, correctional officer wants to positively and correctly identify an inmate, they can, through these mobile devices, get a fingerprint of that inmate, send it to Department of Justice databases, compare it with that, and get a response back right there at the prison yard, for example. So that's what the POMI project does. And it's going to be up and running in first institution January of 2014 and completely rolled out statewide by June of 2014. Continuing on offender incarceration, this is an effort that's we're working with the governor's office on volunteer management system because it's important to them also. A lot of people want to volunteer at our institutions, and right now there are different obstacles, too many obstacles for all the volunteers to get to the institution. We make everyone fingerprinted at the institution, at every institution, even if they're next door to each other. So reducing the need to get those live scans done by 30%, increasing the usefulness and availability of the population by 15%, and just attracting volunteers rather than sending them back is our goal. Again, this is another system that CDCR IT staff are going to and have developed. Right now it's being user tested. Next effort, and this goes back to the discussion Joe had regarding the R in CDCR. The rehabilitative part of CDCR is really important, and to that end, we provide educational services to the inmates. They can take their GED test right now in institutions, but as of 2014, they have to take that test electronically, online. So we have to put the infrastructure and the technology in place so they can do that. Not only that, they can take online educational courses. So when they come back to the society, they can re-enter and not go back. The online education network is slated to go live next month at the Ironwood State Prison, and will be deployed to other institutions as well. Continuing on adult rehabilitation, we have taken a step and gotten our feet wet a little bit on the big data and analytics. It is another collaborative effort that we are doing with Division of Rehabilitative Programs, where we are collecting data from different sources, structured or unstructured, so there is one repository of data where a user can do modeling, querying, or producing reports from that data. You've heard me talk about Compass, you've heard me talk about SOMS, you've heard me talk about parole leads. Imagine if the user could get a report out of all of those, and imagine the collaboration of that with social media. So we are taking advantage of the tool that we have acquired is Endeca, and we believe that there will be a lot of efficiencies coming out of that. First phase of this also going to be implemented next month. So now I'm going to move into future activities. And it's just 2 slides, that's the good news. Enterprise services and business administration, barcode technology, and electronic data interchange. We hope and we expect that better accountability, faster ordering and receiving will come out of barcoding. In collaboration with the Office of Business Services, we are starting to look at this. Transferring data between biz and external entities is also an effort that's going to come out of EDI, less paper to process. Who would disagree with that? And better position for future SAP enhancements. The next area for future consideration is in the area of adult institutions, radio and microwave communication. This effort directly impacts the department's primary mission. The safety of California, or having safer California, we need and we are eager to get started on this very much needed upgrade. Solicitation document on this one will also be out within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Tablets. We use tablets for educational purposes, or going to be using tablets for educational purposes, but I think that's going to be a lot more use for tablets in the future, not just in our rehabilitative program, but in other areas as well. So my last slide are the emerging technologies that we are looking at. I talked a little bit about big data and analytics and social media collaboration. As I mentioned, we are just scratching the surface on that. I think there is a lot of good information that come out of analytics and help decision makers make better decisions. Sensors and surveillance. We are looking at other sensors other than motion detectors. Voice verification and biometrics. We're not just looking at fingerprints and facial recognition, we're looking at other avenues. Virtual assistants, augmented reality, intelligence, artificial intelligence. We believe that if we build smart into our assets, that we will be able to better manage them and incorporate them into our data and reports. Inmate mobile applications and devices. We think that we could provide those services, especially when it comes to rehabilitative programs and rehabilitating the inmates. I won't talk much about intelligent systems, but robotics is something that we already are taking advantage of in our facility in Stockton, in the warehouse. And we know there are countries, Department of Correction, that take advantage of them to dispense medications to inmates or other areas. I'm sorry I went too fast, but we're limited on time, and I'm going to ask Paul Smith to come up and make a presentation on this.